Welcome to The Big Ones, a look at popular game music and what makes it so loved. Today is all about the 1998 rare classic, Banjo Kazooie. Banjo Kazooie is goofy. It's also slightly dark and occasionally spooky. In fact, as a kid, the game over screen downright frightened me. But more than anything, this bright and silly platformer showed the capabilities of the N64 both in gameplay and in music. Now, the N64's sound capabilities are hard to explain and hard to understand. It didn't have a sound card in the same way the SNES did, so the sound capabilities really depended on who was making the game. Nintendo would give an instrument sample set to developers, and you can hear similarities among several different titles. But the music was usually an afterthought, as everyone in the game industry was focused first and foremost on the graphics. In fact, in areas of certain games where the processor was pushed to its limits, there would be limited or no sound. But despite these severe limitations, there were developers that created memorable and delightful music that stands the test of time. Nintendo themselves of course did this, but among third-party developers, Rare arguably put in the most effort to create amazing soundtracks. The main Rare composer on the N64 was Grant Kirkhope, and Banjo Kazooie is probably his crowning achievement. I'd sum up Banjo Kazooie's music in 2 words: seriously silly. The music is bouncy and irreverent, but it has so much heart and effort put into it that it seems wrong to just label it all as silly. Almost every track features an oompa rhythm, meaning its bass line sounds like a person saying oompa oompa. This pattern is associated mainly with polka music, so the silliness runs deep. Tracks like Mumbo's Mountain are pure goofy, with constant tritones and buzzing horns all around. The melody gets passed between a kind of clarinet sound, a xylophone, a banjo, and I guess a tuba. Banjos and tubas are goofy in and of themselves, but a single piece of music with all these different instruments together make for a truly kooky track. Many of the other pieces from the game are trying to riff off a certain style of music, like Freezeey Peak, which sounds right out of a children's Christmas special. Tip for composers out there: if you want your song to sound like Christmas, just add jingle bells. My favorite track from the game, though, is easily Click Clock Wood. The melody sometimes just jumps into my head and usually makes my day better. It's such a simple and repeated melody that just gets built upon and elaborated throughout the level. It's jazzy in the oldest sense of jazz. In fact, with the right instrumentation and arrangement, the song would feel right at home on the streets of New Orleans during Mardi Gras. But the best part of Banjo Kazooie's soundtrack, in my opinion, is the dynamic music system. A few years back, Grant Kirkhope released an album called Banjo Kazooie, Everything and the Kitchen Sink, and it literally has every music track and jingle from the game, plus a few unused tracks. This includes every variation of every theme from every level. Therefore, we can look at the different parts that all come together and create the tapestry of sound apparent in each level. But for today, let's look at one level, Mad Monster Mansion. This whole level is inspired by Halloween and old B horror movies, and that's reflected in the music. But there's actually 8 tracks that play in Mad Monster Mansion, depending on where you are or what you're doing in the level. There's the main theme, but when you get near the church, you hear the church bells. When you go underwater, you hear a simpler, calmer, and softer version. When you walk inside the mansion, you hear the theme in a style that I can only describe as Scooby-Doo. When you go into the toilet, you hear a version that, well, listen to it. When you enter the graveyard, there's a version that's much more sparse and ambient. When you go into the church, there's an organ-driven version. And there's a section where you have to spell out a word on a Ouija board, and this area gets its own theme as well. What's more, every level in the game has at least 4 variations on a main theme. And I didn't even mention the overworld, which could be an episode all its own. The already catchy melodies get driven deeper and deeper into your head as you hear several different variations. Banjo Kazooie is easily among the most influential 3D platformers, and the music matches the look and feel of the game perfectly. It's silly but well constructed, goofy but polished, and old but timeless. Thanks for watching, and listen well.